Hey, American contractors, viewers of the American Contractor Show. I'm here with John Dye at Win the Storm, and I have to tell you, anyone that is associated with American Contractor Show, you are a badass.
Big shout out to American Contractor Show. If you don't know, you definitely need to check out the Storm Summit. They're doing it in excellence. Check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is your friend, Francisco Serrano. If you haven't checked it out, American Contractor Show, YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms, you need to go them, like them, start learning about your craft.
Hey, I'm Matt Danskin with Restoration Referral System. Check out the American Contractor Show. The truck that they've got is awesome. Everything else that they have going on.
This is Larry Bache with the Northern Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Northern Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I, as a contractor, appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor who's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
And good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. My name is meteorologist Heather Kay, and it's time for our daily hail forecast. We got to thank our sponsors. We have the C3 Group, as well as the Merlin Law Group and American Contractor. Thank you guys, as always, for sponsoring our videos. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We do have a chance to see hail today in the Front Range, as well as into the Northern Plains. And we are going to be watching Denver. Yes, Denver. You guys haven't really seen a whole lot of action this year, so let's see if today you guys can get some action. And then as we get into tomorrow, Minneapolis, you guys have a chance to see some hail. And then we're going to be tracking the tropics, as we always do this time of the year. And we're going to be watching Henri very closely, see if he may scrape the far northeastern part of the U.S. So we do have an event coming up. We've been talking about it for a while now. This is the Thunder Road Race for Recovery on September 15th down in Norman, Oklahoma, so just down the road from us here at the Hale Palace. And basically, if you sign up, you're guaranteed 2 races. We're going to have food trucks and music, and all of the proceeds for this event are going to go to roofers in recovery, basically. So roofers that are recovering from alcohol and drug addiction. So this is a really cool cause. All of the information can be found at the link below in the description. So if you're interested, go and click on that link and sign up. So here are yesterday's storm reports. Not a whole lot of activity. Most of the reports actually came in the Northeast. These are all associated, except for the hail here. All the wind reports here were associated with Fred, and he is tracking on to the Northeast. I'll show you what's going on with him in just a second. Otherwise, we just had a few scatter reports across parts of the West, and then a few other reports in parts of Alabama. But other than that, it was a pretty quiet day. So let's take a look at our numbers. Yesterday we did have one tornado report as well as one large hail report and 47 high wind reports. And so far for the year, we're up to 805 tornado reports, a little over 4,600 large hail reports, and closing in on 13,900 high wind reports. But like we've been saying, compared to this time last year, we are very far behind, and we're not going to catch up, you guys. So here is a look at our current conditions across the United States. Pretty quiet from Minneapolis down to about St. Louis into the Great Lakes region. Besides a few showers, high pressure is in control right now, but we do have some showers, even some storms across parts of the southeast. And then we have a Fred in the far northeast. So we're going to zoom into this part of the country first. Boston, you just had some stormy weather. You are within the last half hour or so under a tornado warning. And that activity is starting to move off the coast now, and just a lot of heavy rain across the northeastern part of the U.S. And this wonderful remnants of Fred is going to slowly move off the coast as we get through the rest of the day today. And then we're going to go into the western part of the U.S. We have a low pressure out in the Rockies. You can see that spin there. It looks like the center is in the far southwestern Wyoming, and this is what we're going to be watching later on, really within the next hour or two, to start watching for severe weather from Denver northward to Bismarck. So yeah, besides that, we have our two wonderful tropical systems. We have Grace here, who is impacting parts of the Yucatan Peninsula, and then we have Henri here, still chilling out in the Atlantic, but like I've mentioned, we're going to be watching him very carefully as we get into later this weekend into the beginning of next week. So here are our temperatures. For the most part, I mean, it's kind of toasty. 87 in Atlanta, 90 in Miami, a little bit cooler in New York City with a temperature of 81, and 83 in, no, that's 83 in Fort Wayne, 85 in Kansas City, and you go west a little bit, it's a little bit cooler here in Denver, 75, and then, I mean, pretty typical, and it's a few hours behind anyway from us here in Oklahoma City, but we are sitting at 73 in Los Angeles and a cool 64 in Portland, and those dew points extremely uncomfortable. 70s from Atlanta down south to Miami. Just a lot of moisture streaming up, and that's going to help fuel those showers and storms later on this afternoon into this evening. So here is our future radar. This is just the HRRR model in just one run. You guys know how this goes hopefully by now. This is at noon. A few storms are going to try and pop up within the next hour or so, but as we get to about 2 to 4 p.m., you can see a lot more activity is expected to fire. We got to watch Denver very carefully around 2 or so Central Time, so within the next hour, hour and a half, as that is expected to start up. And Rapid City later on this afternoon, you may be in line to see severe weather as well. And as we get later on in the evening, that activity will continue to move on to the east, and you can see that it's going to become more linear in nature. And linear means more wind and less hail, so the hail threat's still going to be there, but I don't think it's going to be as high. So cross those fingers for those storms to stay more isolated. And as we get into later in the evening and into the overnight hours, that activity will move on to the east and die out a bit in South Dakota, but you can see down in Nebraska, we could have some storms fire up in central Nebraska. Those are called the tail end showers, so we have to keep an eye on those. So we're going to zoom into Denver. This is at 12:30, so this is within the next 20 minutes or so. Just another model run. As we get to 2:30 p.m. Central Time, you can see some storms will potentially develop, so we have to start watching Denver very carefully pretty soon here. And then as we get later on into the evening at 5 p.m. Central Time, more activity is expected to develop around Denver and northeast Denver. We have to watch Cheyenne as well, and northward to Rapid City. But then as we get later on in the evening, this is at 8 p.m. at Central Time, it looks like Denver, you should be clearing out in terms of severe weather. More showers and storms of the non-severe variety could be possible, though, as we get into the overnight hours. You can see another round of activity is possible as we reach daybreak tomorrow morning. And now Lastly, let's check out Fred. I did mention Boston. He just got finished with some severe weather, and it looks like that is slowly going to move on to the east more. Some wind and some thunderstorm activity with Fred is still possible in the northeast from Boston northward into Maine as we get through the afternoon, as he slowly moves off the coast into the Atlantic. And then as we get to about 9 p.m. Central Time, that moisture will work into Maine and Boston. Besides a few showers, you guys should be in the clear by then. So let's talk about the hail, you guys. I think today the max size is going to get up to golf ball size, and I think that is going to be mostly in Denver and eastward. So let's take a look at that hail forecast in a bit more detail. I do have a pretty decent chance, up to a moderate chance to see up to golf ball size hail from Denver northward to Cheyenne, eastward into the panhandle of Nebraska. I think Rapid City northward to Bismarck, you guys can see up to $half size hail. I think, again, it's going to be more of a linear event by the time things get through your neck of the woods, but that hail is still possible there. And then in terms of wind, same deal, 60 to maybe 70 mile per hour gusts, especially in the northern part. Risk is possible today. So Denver, Cheyenne, northward to Rapid City, maybe as far north as Bismarck, severe winds are possible there. And then as we get into the northeast with Fred, severe winds are possible from Boston northeastward to the southern parts of Maine. And so here's our city of the day. No surprise, Denver, you do have a chance of hail basically within the next hour or so until about 8 p.m. The largest hail size is going to be up to golf ball size. A moderate chance to see severe hail today up to 1 inch or larger. And I think we have a pretty low chance to see hail larger than golf ball size, but hey, we get surprises all the time here at the Hail Palace, so anything is possible. So do those hail dances if you are in Denver. So this is for tomorrow. Our future radar for this is the HRRR model for tomorrow morning. Clear for Minnesota down into Iowa as we start the day. But you can see as the morning begins, the activity that is going to be occurring tonight will be in eastern South Dakota down into Nebraska. And then as we get later on into the morning and into the afternoon hours, you can see some thunderstorm development is expected around that time. And then getting on later into the afternoon, more development is expected with that low pressure system as it's moving on to the east. We got to keep an eye on Minneapolis as well as down into Des Moines around dinner time as this activity moves on to the east. And you can see it's kind of a broken line, so it may be more of a wind threat, but the hail threat is still there if those storms can stay isolated long enough. But it becomes even more linear as we get to 7 p.m. So, we still have over 24 hours. A lot of things can change, but right now it looks like it's going to be more of a wind threat in Minneapolis and down south into Iowa. And then that activity will move on to the east as we get later on into the evening and then die off as we get into the overnight hours, Friday into Saturday. And then this is also for tomorrow, moving on to the southern part of this risk. You can see Omaha, you may be dealing with some stuff in the morning hours. And then as we get into later on in the afternoon, you can see a few isolated spots of storm development may pop up along that front that's going to be coming on through Omaha. We got to watch around 7 to 8 p.m., maybe a little bit earlier, 6 to 8 p.m., as some activity is expected to develop and move on through Kansas City down to Wichita, maybe as far south as Woodward. I think it's going to become even more isolated as we move on to the south. And then getting into the overnight, that activity will move on to the east and become more linear in nature as well. And maybe some pop-up storms as we reach daybreak in the northern parts of Oklahoma. So here is our hail forecast for tomorrow, a pretty large area that we're going to be watching. It's going to be basically from, okay, thanks computer. So basically from Fargo to Minneapolis, down south to Wichita to Woodward. Again, I think the largest hail is going to be up to golf ball size. Sioux Falls, Omaha, you guys have a good chance to see up to that size hail. And I think as you move on to the east to Minneapolis and to Des Moines, you'll still have a chance to see up to $half size hail, maybe up to ping pong ball size hail. It really depends if those storms can stay isolated long enough or if it forms into a line relatively quickly. So yeah, start doing those hail dances if you're in Minneapolis. Yeah, I mean, anything is possible, and then the chances will drop off as those storms will become a little bit more isolated from Kansas City to Wichita to Woodward. And I gotta make sure I press the right button. I was kind of thrown off there. Thanks, computer. You gotta love technology. And then wind is pretty much the same area. 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts are possible. Lower chance in Fargo, but a higher chance to see those severe gusts in Minneapolis, Sioux Falls, down to Des Moines. I mentioned those storms may become more of a linear form, so it's no surprise that these areas are at a moderate and not at a low. And then getting down into the southern risk as those storms will become a little bit more isolated in nature. Up to 60 mile per hour are possible with any storms that develop from Kansas City to Wichita to Woodward. So let's check in on the tropics. We do have two systems to talk about. This is Grace. She's very much over the Yucatan Peninsula right now. She's at 65 miles per hour, so just below hurricane status by 9 miles per hour. So pretty strong tropical storm. As we move into tomorrow morning, she is expected to become a very weak hurricane, but then she's going to just continue on to the west and enter Mexico, possibly still as a minimal hurricane, and then basically go west, and the land will eventually kill her, in lack of better terms. And so by Saturday, she's expected to be a depression, and that's all she wrote for her. And then Henri, we need to watch very carefully. The models are starting to come into a little bit more agreement that he may hit land. Currently, he's at a very strong tropical storm status at 70 miles per hour. As we get into later on the evening, not much will change in terms of his strength, but then as we get into tomorrow evening, he may strengthen to a minimal hurricane. And then you can see he's staying off land from tomorrow into Saturday, and then most of Saturday evening into the overnight. But then as we get into Sunday, we need to watch him very carefully as he may make landfall just off the coast here. So it's going to be a very interesting weekend to see what he does. And then as we get into the beginning of next week, he will track off to the. This is what the models are saying for where he's going to be hitting the next few days, just moving on to the north. And then as we get into Sunday into Monday, you can see they're pretty much in agreement. He may make landfall off the coast of Massachusetts. Yeah, I know my state's things, John. Massachusetts. So it's going to be a close call, but hey, it's going to be a very interesting weekend to see if he makes landfall or not. It's going to be, a lot of rain, storm surge, some wind. I know this area hasn't seen a storm in how long? A very long time, decades. So we will see what he does as we get into the weekend. Then as we get into the beginning of next week, like I said, he will move off to the east, back into the Atlantic. So it's going to be a very exciting next few days, you guys. We got hail, we got wind, we got tropical systems. You don't want to miss anything. If you haven't already, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of them. We love talking to you guys, And if you guys have any questions, concerns, or you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hilltrace.com and check out our website at www.hilltrace.com where we have more information about us. We have bios, we have more information about our products. And if you have any issues at all, you guys, please contact us. We're here to help you. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday.